guys, and welcome back to my channel. It has been a very long time since I have recorded a video of any kind because because I have been on this like social media detox, if you want to use that word. But basically I just haven't been on anything for I think nearly 6 months. Yeah, 4.5 months. And I did intend on, when I started this channel, making videos more frequently than this. I wasn't sure how frequently, like I haven't given myself like a you must have videos out once a week kind of thing, because I just don't think that I can actually commit to that, and I don't want to get people's hopes up. But I didn't think that it would be like a 5-month hiatus after only putting up 2 videos. So this is like my first sit down video, a bit of a get to know you video, but also combined that with a bit of a life update video, because there have been quite a few things going on. So that's what we're in for today. It might be a bit of a longer one, and not much more than just me sitting and chatting to you, kind of like debriefing with a bestie that you haven't seen in a really long time. So yeah, got some fun things happening in my life, got some kind of sad and scary things happening, but it'll all make sense as we continue on. So thanks for being here, and I hope you enjoy. Feel free to like and leave comments if you have any questions or anything you would like me to do a video on, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button because it really helps. Okay, so I've never actually done one of these kind of sit down videos on this channel before. I did have a channel years ago that I did videos on, and like years, like I think it was 2016, 17, 18, somewhere around there, and the videos were super cringe, but I really enjoyed it, which is kind of why I'm back. But that channel was like, the intentionality behind it was super serious, and my workspace, which I'll talk to you guys about in a little bit more in a minute, is quite on the heavy side of things, which I love. It's quite deep and conversational and relational, and I love that. But I just kind of wanted a space where I could just have fun and like chat to you guys, like, you know, like you would when you're debriefing with your best friends, like just kind of create a community of people that's like where it's safe and we're fun and there's banter and we share like tips and skills and stuff like that. So I don't want to gloss over the hard stuff on this channel. Like, I really value, as most millennials I have discovered do, I really value authenticity, and being honest about things, but also I love to have a laugh, and get creative and do things, and I try to live life at a pretty slow pace, which is quite hard to do as the brain that's as busy as mine, but you know, it's a learning process, and I would love to, yeah, I guess the purpose behind this channel was just to have a place to chill out and be creative. So yeah, that's kind of the bulk of the content that I create, will just be like that way inclined. Just life, really. I do love doing sit down chats. I know this isn't everyone's favorite form of content, so I'm not sure how many of these kinds of videos that I'll make, but I just thought it was really important because it's been such a long time between my last video, which was like about my birthday, and this one, to just be like, let's step back a bit, introduce myself properly, and just chat about what's been going on. Okay, so I don't know if I've actually said this on this channel. Surely I have. My name is LJ, also known as Layla or Leela. There's a story there. What the heck, I'll tell it to you now. I am known by all three names. I think the LJ one is because people couldn't decide whether they wanted to call me Leela or Layla. My parents, the name that my parents gave me is actually Leela, which is Hebrew, I believe. But I grew up in New South Wales, on the east coast of Australia, although I was not on the coast, I was like inland. And the way that phonetics were read over there, a lot of people read my name and they said Layla. And as a really little kid, I used to correct people all the time, but it just kind of, I think I got to like high school and I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of correcting people, I'm just gonna go with it. And so I just went with Layla. And then I started to introduce myself as Layla. I say this because there will be videos that I will hopefully have like friends and stuff in, and you will hear them calling me a variety of all three. But for the purposes of this channel, I'm LJ. I think that's just the most simple. That's my nickname. It's one of those names that's followed me my whole life, so yeah. My name is LJ. I am in my early 30s, which is scary, but that's okay. And yeah, I've just kind of started this channel for like all the things I said before, just a bit of a chill space to hang out because I like it and just for fun really. However, I understand that it has been a rather long time between videos. It's been about 5 months. And part of the reason for that is because I went on this, I just had this conviction within myself that I just needed to get off of the internet, essentially. I really struggle with doom scrolling, which I think is something that's pretty common but not talked about very much, as how much that messes with your head. And like the reasons behind why, and I just kind of wanted to reconnect with who I was as a person, which was like my original reasons for it. And then like there's only so much information you can get before you just start to get really sad and like, wow, the world is a mess and this sucks. And I don't like feeling like that, and so I just kind of wondered if just cutting all that out would help me mentally at all, and it did. Spoilers. However, coming back on, I realized that there were definitely elements of this kind of thing that I miss. Like I miss creating content and I miss talking to people online. I don't really miss consuming content. And so yeah, I guess that was kind of like this time of being able to go, okay, why am I actually online? You know, how is this serving the community? How is me showing up here serving the community? How is it serving me? What's the healthiest way to do this? Because yeah, like I think I got my first phone when I was like 13, and it was like an LG pink flip phone thing. It was like it was crazy really that I had a pink phone for my first phone, because I'm not a real girly girl. Well, it wasn't at the time. It had like Britney Spears perfume with it, like the circus one. Anyway, but like I guess all of that stuff was so new and happening, so like the digital space was changing so quickly that like our parents didn't really know what they were doing, let alone how to teach us how to navigate this space. And so I guess I just kind of took some time to be like, let's be intentional about being online. So that's kind of like what I did. But in that time, some really big things happened in my life that really helped me to stick to that. The biggest one I think I'm going to talk about at the end, not as like a baiting type thing, because I don't like it when people do that, but just because it's probably the one that I'll go the most in depth in to. It's definitely the most exciting and the most nerve-wracking at the same time. So I did intend when I started this channel to, like just after I started this channel, our landlord let us know that he wanted to sell this house, which is part of the reason why your backdrop is not very aesthetic, because we're kind of in the process of like moving and figuring out that space, which in Australia right now, that is like a challenge and a half, because the rental market is nuts. And Nick and I are not currently in a position, like we're not in the financial position we would like to be in to go through with like purchasing or building a place. Like we're just kind of like navigating all this stuff. And so renting is kind of like our main option, but finding a place to rent is super hard. Rental prices are nuts. Can I just like pause and just say, it is insane the amount of money you have to pay to have a roof over your head. I'm not complaining, it's just an observation, but it's crazy. And so since we had to move, we just decided to like look at our relationship and where we were going. Don't worry, we're still together. But like how we wanted to live our lives and be more intentional about that. Well, at least that was my thought process anyway. I can't really speak for his thought process because he's his own person. But yeah, we kind of decided that we wanted to move out of the city. And so we're moving down south, closer to my parents, which is lovely in some respects because my dad has had some health stuff come up that's pretty serious, which is a bit of a side update, I guess. So it'd be nice to be closer to them as he goes through that, but just it's like on the coast, not in the city. There's much more country vibes, and I'm a country bumpkin. Like regional New South Wales, born and raised kind of thing. So yeah, we just kind of decided that we would move down there, but it's more like the area that we want to, areas that we're looking at moving into are more like owner occupied. There's not a lot of rentals down there, unless they're like holiday homes. So it has been a bit of a struggle finding somewhere to live. We are really blessed to be in a situation where we have the opportunity to bunk in with my parents for a little bit to like, if we don't find anything in time, so that we can just kind of like get our bearings and figure out like the lay of the land down there and start to build community down there and that kind of stuff. So we're in like a really fortunate position in a lot of ways, but there are definitely challenges that come along with where we're at in our life and just navigating those spaces. So yeah, I intended to film a whole bunch of like cleaning up the house videos, which I will still film and upload and stuff like that, because sometimes just watching somebody else clean feels so much better than actually cleaning yourself or gives you the motivation to clean. But I also have learned some pretty cool tricks that like what I found really helpful when doing like an end of house clean. But I bring this up because those videos, when they come out, the start of them is like I started filming them in like March, April, and I'll be finishing filming them in like November, December, and there's like, you know, nearly a full year there, and so I don't look the same. The house has changed heaps. There's a lot of times going on in between, so they might just be a little bit disjointed, but you know, the fun of moving and figuring out where to go. So that's the moving side of things, which I'm equal parts excited, and I'm mostly excited. I just feel very overwhelmed with the whole process of ending a chapter. I find endings a lot harder than beginnings. And like, Nick and I have been in this house for nearly 6 years and had a whole heap of experiences here. Rome spent most of his late childhood, well, all of his late childhood in this house, and so it's kind of bittersweet, you know. But that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So that's been a fair bit to process, and then yeah, just figuring out what to do there. I've also been working on some stuff work-wise. So I actually graduated with a diploma in ministry and theology in April. Well, I finished last year, but my graduation ceremony was in April, and that was so cool. Walking across the I'll check a photo in actually, because it was a fun day. But walking across the stage with like the cap and gown, for reference, I didn't finish high school, so it's like the first time I've ever like properly graduated anything, so it was like a huge achievement for me. I loved that course, learnt so much, definitely helped me to settle into and understand who I was and how, like, what my worldview is and how I fit in the bigger picture of like the world and why I'm here, and it gave me a lot of purpose and stuff like that. I learned a lot about like different organizations and how they function, and I learned obviously a lot about theology because that's what I was studying, and which leads me to the other thing that I've been doing is I've been in the process of creating a online course which you guys will actually be able to purchase once I finished it. It's aimed at women who are like in their late 20s, early 30s, and life doesn't actually look quite like what you thought it would, and maybe you're in a relationship that you don't know where it's going, or your career has not got where you thought it would be, or just you have this idea of what life would look like, but it doesn't look like that, and you just notice like there's these whole bunch of habits and stuff that you have that you're like, these aren't serving me, but I don't know why I have them, and stuff like that. So it's a course on like self-reflection and flourishing, like, and the purpose is to be able to, I guess, sit with who you are and figure out who you are, but not like just stay there, but like, okay, this is who I am, this is how I got here, and this is where I want to go, and then like just the ins and outs of like the practical steps of how to do that. So I'm really excited to release that, which will be coming out next year, early next year, I hope. Like I said, there's been a lot of like shifting and changing these last few months, and so the timelines that I had for things have not lined up at all. Partly because of my own like procrastination with things, but a lot of it has just been because I've just been so overwhelmed with the huge amount of changes that are happening all at once, and just been trying to process and get my own head around those things. So yes, I'm doing an online course through it'll be available through my business or ministry called Let Them Testify Ministries, that I'm also in the process of building. So yeah, my plan this year was to really just focus on the ministry and building that up, and pouring like a lot of my time and energy into that. And then life had other plans. And so I've had to pivot slightly. So I'm still pouring into that, but just in a different way, in that I have gone back to uni to study a Bachelor of Counselling, which I always intended on doing, if I'm being really honest, but not this soon. I always thought that in my mind I had that I would build the business up a little bit first and then go and do the Bachelor of Counselling kind of like on the side kind of thing. But yeah, things changed. That meant that I physically couldn't pour into the business the way that I wanted to, and so I just figured instead of doing nothing, well, not nothing, but since I had this unexpected gap in the schedule, I suppose I would fill that gap with the counselling stuff. And my goodness, it has been so good. I love humanity and the way that we just have hardwired in us this insane capacity to just change and become and flourish, and that stuff is genuinely like really truly possible, and that there are real things and real choices that we can make and take to bring that stuff in, or I guess like a modern term is to manifest that stuff into reality. And that, you know, just because somebody is born and raised or finds themselves in a certain environment doesn't mean that they have to stay there. Sorry. But that, you know, that's a process and that looks different for different people because of where they come from, and like that so much more affects our decision making than just than we think that it does. And yeah, I just love how resilient humanity is and how most people, when they are given the opportunity and given the tools, most people are good. And yeah, so that's coming out next year, hopefully, or going to plan, which I'm very hesitant to say just because of how this year's gone. Like, nothing has gone to plan. But anyway, but this leads me to my final and biggest announcement, which will kind of change the direction of this channel a little bit. The purpose is still the same, but just include different things that I wouldn't have included before because I didn't have this experience. But at the end of April, I found out that I am pregnant, which I'm very excited about now. I am, I think at this point in time, I think I'm nearly 26 weeks, but look at it. Look at how chunky this baby is. So yes, it has definitely been an experience. We found out we were having a little boy, which I did not see coming. I thought I was so dead set that we were having a girl, just because this pregnancy has been like wildly different from my first one. Can I just say, just pausing real quick to insert a thought. Being pregnant in your late teens, early 20s, and being pregnant in your early 30s is a vastly different experience. And for anyone who is thinking about having children and you are in that earlier age bracket, like I would never recommend people have kids. I don't know if never is the correct term. I guess I wouldn't necessarily suggest having kids as early as I did, because that was wild. But again, in saying that, I know people who were set up differently to what I was, and they had kids that young, and you know, totally fine. But there's this like rhetoric, or this like narrative going around that, like, you know, having kids later is sometimes seen as better because you get to focus on your career first and stuff. And that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But just from a physical perspective and from my experience, having had a child, well, I've been pregnant at 17, and had him at 18, and then this experience now where I'm in my early 30s, like the toll that it takes on your body and how your body is able to bounce back and cope with that is so vastly different. And I suppose in some respects, if you didn't have a kid earlier, you wouldn't know. And I guess there is like some solace in that, not knowing. But as someone who does know, if you can have your kids earlier, I would highly recommend that for the sake of your body. If you can't, that's, you know, completely different story. If you're not in that space, you know, completely different story. But I'm really cautious about the narrative that having kids later is like better. And like I said, there's pros and cons to everything, but I'm just not sure that it is. Don't get me wrong, I feel so blessed to have this little miracle baby inside me and to be able to grow him, and I feel so incredibly honoured to be able to share this experience with Nick especially. But yeah, I'm very excited. However, I guess the pregnancy experience has been wild. Another part of the reason I haven't been posting anything either here or online is because the first trimester was actually hell, in the respect that I was just sick all the time. Threw up heaps, constantly nauseous. I wasn't actually throwing up, I was like dry reaching. Felt like I'd been hit by a truck. So tired. But no one knew, and so that's actually not true. My close friends knew. I actually told people pretty early. But yeah, this is kind of like the first time I've spoken about it publicly. This pregnancy we've kind of kept on the down low, just because I suppose in almost like an act of rebellion to the whole you have to share everything all the time. Like, I just really wanted this time to be a time for myself and Nick and our families to, you know, connect and find joy and process things in our own speed without the rest of the world knowing. But yeah, so a little man is due officially on the 10th of January next year. However, this pregnancy, like I said, has been vastly different, and there's been some complications which I will share. I will create a proper video about those complications later, like one that's like actually dedicated to the pregnancy and how we found out and like different symptoms and stuff. And yeah, so it's looking, at the moment, I still have to go in for more tests and things. Little man is fine, It's not a problem with him per se, it's just there's just potentially going to be issues getting him out. So it's looking like at the moment I will likely have to be booked in for a C-section, and I'd have to be booked in for a C-section pretty early. And so again, like I said, I still have to have more scans and stuff and chat to my medical team about that, but sorry, my throat is so dry today. But yeah, that's our news. And a bit of a catch up and a bit of a this is why I'm here. If you have made it this far, thank you so much. Hopefully the rest of my content will be a little bit more entertaining than this, but yeah, I love chatting with you guys, and I'm really looking forward to building this community and just having fun experiences together. And if you are interested in the course that I'm creating and like want to know more about it, let me know in the comments below, or go to my Instagram and check us a message, and I will reply and give you the details that I have. If you have any pregnancy or birthing type videos, I'm really looking, let me know what you want to see down below. I'm very excited to create a lot of content around that, just because I personally like watching that stuff, but I'm also really looking forward to creating a video specifically around this pregnancy and I guess the issues that we've had, because when I found out about those issues myself, like I said, there wasn't a lot out there about this condition when I first found out that I had it, and so particularly not in Australia where I'm based. So I definitely create a video specifically dedicated to that. But I'm excited for you guys to come along for the journey. Thank you for being here. I'm probably gonna wrap this video up here because I'm just starting to ramble. But yes, I will see you in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps my channel. And it really helps to build this community of pretty awesome people. So yeah, we'll see you in my next video. Bye.